Welcome to today's webinar, What's New in SAP Sybase Replication Server. My name is Peter Dobler. I'm the CEO of Dobler Consulting, and today's presenter is Bill Song from SAP HANA's Product Management. Bill will talk about all the new features that SAP Sybase Replication Server offers in its latest release. Quick note about the presenter or the sponsor for today, Dobler Consulting, a leading information technology database service company. We offer the full spectrum of database services, including licenses, consulting, post-implementation support, remote database support, and also training. We are featuring products from SAP Sybase, Microsoft SQL Server, and Oracle. You can visit us online at www.doblerconsulting.com or contact us through our phone number 813-322-3240 or email me directly at my email address on the screen. Today we will have a presentation about what SAP Sybase Replication Server has to offer. There will be information on real-time transactional replication into SAP HANA from non-SAP applications, real-time change data capture for SAP Data Services, disaster recovery for SAP Business Suite applications running on SAP Sybase Adaptive Server, ASE, plus some other great new features that SAP Sybase Replication Server has to offer. And without further ado, I would like to introduce Bill Sang, and Bill, it's all yours.
Thank you, Peter. Can you guys hear me clearly? Peter?
I can hear you.
Okay, good, good. I just want to make sure that, Peter, what I'm going to do is my go-to webinar looks like it's now working. So hopefully, if I can just tell you which slides that I'm on, if you can help me to flip, that'd be great.
Okay, we are on slide 1 for the first presentation. You can just tell me to switch. We are the title page.
Okay, great, great. So then go to as Peter mentioned, my name is Bill Jang. I'm a product manager for Replication Server. So basically, in this presentation, what we like to do is actually give you an introduction of Sybase Replication Server for those people who are new to Sybase Replication Server. And more importantly, what we like to highlight is 3 new features that we just introduced in Rep Server 15.7.1 SP100. So this is the latest release of Sybase Replication Server. By the way, this year is the 20th anniversary for Sybase Rep Server. So Sybase Rep Server is 20 years old. So just want to let you know this year is 20 years old. And after that 3 feature, what we're going to do is actually give a brief overview in terms of what's coming up on the roadmap. Right? Slide number 3, please. So for the folks that don't know what is Replication Server, very briefly, 20 years ago, 3 companies, 3 early adopter of a Sybase ASE customer, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, back then Solomon Brothers, they actually are early adopter of Sybase ASE database. They come to Sybase was asking for a transactional data distribution tool. And so we co-designed it, we co-innovated, and we have this replication server coming out just for purposely for the what we call transactional data distribution. So there's a lot of tools out there in the market, such as ETL, such as Federation. But what replication server is so different from other tools is it is a transactional replication. It goes to the transaction log of the source database and apply to the target database. So there are different ways that you can use Rep Server 4, and which I have a couple of slides to show that as well. So want to let you know that the Rep Server is really key for a lot of Wall Street customers today, and is well known for secure, reliable, and also very low impact with high performance. Next slide, please. So I'm on slide number 4, and the slide number 4 shows here is really we have more than 3,000 enterprise customers. about 50% of those customers are Wall Street customers. So one of the use cases I just mentioned is real-time data distribution. So 50% of Wall Street customers, 50% of the customers are Wall Street customers. Those are the #1 use case for them, right? And then also we have a public services. A lot of the government actually use the replication server. All those 3 letters agencies that I'm not allowed to disclose, they're actually use replication server to distribute data in real time. And of course, we're very strong in the retail and the logistics as well. So a couple of things I want to highlight here is we're really the #1, the transactional, we're the first one, actually, the transactional replication tool in the market, and recognized as a industry leader by both Gartner and the Forrester. Just in the past 3 years, we have 10+ technology patents. It's all about boosting the performance and to reduce the latency. So, Peter, can we go to slide number 5? So what's on slide number 5 here is replication server as part of the what we call data integration. So Gartner actually rated SAP Data Integration as in the leadership quadrant, and the replication server is part of that rating. So in 2013, in July, actually just in this month, there's a new report just published by Gartner. The slide number 6, please. So on slide number 6, what we have here is those are the 3 primary use cases that how rep server is being used. #1 use case is, of course, the database HADR. Today, about 40% of the database replication server customer are using replication server for database HADR. One of the key advantage of that is instead of like a storage replication, your standby database in the code not able to do anything. With replication server, your standby database is actually up and running. So this is the key differentiation, right? And that there's no problem with what we call data corruption, because I'm doing a logical apply and capture the transaction in a logical manner and apply those transactions on the target database. I'm not reading the disk, so there's no problem with the disk corruption and all of that. So this is the #1 use case, 40%. And the #2 use case is the data distribution. So data distribution, about 35% of the rep server customer today are using replication server for data distribution. One of the use cases, as I mentioned, right, 50% of rep server customer, they're doing the data in Wall Street. They're using rep server for data distribution. So all those master tables of all those financial instruments informations are distributed in real time through replication server. The third one, which I want to highlight here, is what we call real-time reporting. This sector growth is very, very fast. So if you want to, let's say your database is running on top of Oracle, your application is running on top of ASE, and you want to replicate from ASE to IQ, Oracle to IQ, this is what we call real-time reporting. So you can use a replication server to do this. And then at SAP, we also have a HANA. You can also replicate from ASE, Oracle, Microsoft, and DB2 into HANA in real time as well. So this is this segment. This segment is what we call real-time reporting, real-time analytics. Growth in this area is tremendous. Slide number 7, please. So slide number 7 gives you a very brief product architecture. And so the secret sauce of replication server is all about log-based replication agent. On the source side, we'll be able to capture all those the major databases, right? The ASE, Oracle, MS SQL, DB2, not only on the mainframe but also on the on the LAN side as well. So the secret sauce is log-based replication agent, and we capture the transaction. Once transaction is captured, and all those replication engine will figure out what is the downstream subscriber is, right? So which database or even which message bus is interested in this transaction. So all those things are being configured, what we call publications and the subscriptions within replication engine. So on the target side, as you can see, a list of very extensive databases is being supported, And of course, SAP HANA is one of the key features that we want to talk to you about. And ASE IQ ESP. ESP is the SAP CEP engine and all those databases I mentioned before. So this is a very brief in terms of product architecture. As you can see, it's very simple compared to other competitors' products out there. So it's very centralized, very easy for you to manage. So Peter, can we go to slide number 9, please? So slide number 9 just gives you a very high-level overview in terms of what's in this release, right? So in this release, we have 3 new things, as I mentioned. The first one is able to replicate into SAP HANA in real time using Replication Server. Think about if you have any third-party databases, Oracle as example, what we can provide is actually provide a log-based replication, let's say from Oracle into HANA in real time. The second thing that I want to introduce to you is really the real-time change data capture for SAP Data Services. The Data Services is great, but it is by definition, it is a ETL, it is batch. So if you want a real-time data integration, if you want a real-time transformation, you will need a replication server, because replication server is the only way that it can capture the transaction in real time and then feeding that transaction into data services. So this something that what we did in this release, we integrated with SAP Data Services, allow you to do real-time data transformation. And the third one, very excitingly, as many of you already know, that SAP basically ported Business Suite on top of a ASE database. So now you can run SAP Business Suite on top of ASE database. What I want to tell you is the adoption in this space is tremendous. And in this release, we're introducing Replication Server as a de facto disaster recovery mechanism for the underlying ASE database, basically providing you the what we call continuous availability for the underlying ASE database. So this is what we're doing in this release as well. So Peter, slide number 10, please. So what's in slide number 10 is a very brief overview, right? I guess what kind of unique features that we're providing in the HANA replication. Foremost, it is a log-based, right? So if I'm already running very busy, let's say Oracle applications on top of Oracle, you don't want another trigger-based solution, or you don't want another polling solution, try to get those transactions out of source database and then putting that into HANA. You want a very non-intrusive, low-impact, log-based technique to getting those transactions into HANA. And the replication is the tool that what we're talking about here, right? The second thing is what we call Express Connect for HANA, that we specially designed for HANA connectivity from replication into HANA. Why do we do that? So HANA has its own native HANA ODBC library. And with this native connectivity we designed, we're able to leverage HANA ODBC bulk capability, bulk insert, bulk delete, bulk update. So all those bulk capability can be natively used by what we call ECH. So this is just, we can load HANA ODBC driver as a dynamic link library into Rep Server. So there's no third-party gateway, and then everything is managed within Replication Server. So if you know, if you haven't used, let's say, ECDA gateway before, it's not like that. It's a normal ECDA because it is a part of the Replication Server. You don't have to manage a separate process for that, right? Thirdly, we actually also introduced what we call Heterogeneous Direct Load Materialization. So also known as initial load. Let's say you have millions and millions of rows already in the Oracle database. Before you can start doing the real-time replication, you have to use, you have to figure out a way to do the initial load, basically loading the millions of rows from Oracle into HANA. So with the replication, new feature, well, you can do that. All you need to do is in the create subscription clause, put in direct load option, automatically does the initial load, the way that how you define the subscription. So very, very convenient in this release. And there's one more slide later I want to tell you some a little bit more detail. The fourth one is really the transactional consistency. It's a very important concept. Think about between source database and your target database. When we do replication, you want to maintain the transactionality between source database and the target database, right? So because we're capturing the transaction, not just a single row. So we know that where's the beginning trend, where's the commit, so we can replicate the entire transaction and then replicate that and apply that to transaction as a single unit work on the target data side, on the target database side. This is first. Second, we're also able to keep what we call commit order, right? So if you have an insert, update, delete, insert, those type of commit order on the source side, replication server can faithfully replicate the exact same commit order on the target side. So that also keep the transaction integrity between source and target. The third one, referential integrity. Replication server is also able to keep the referential integrity for you as well. So all those features I just mentioned are very unique to replication because we are doing the transactional replication. Knows exactly how to keep the transactionality between source and target. Fifth one shouldn't be new to you because Rep Server is well known for its flexibility. Not only you can deploy over LAN, but also WAN as well, basically with multiple sources and the multiple target topology. The sixth one, data assurance, very unique capability we also introduced for HANA, for IQ, for Oracle, for ASE. So let's say you are in the distributed environment and using a replication server, and you want to make sure that the key information that you just replicated from source to target, it hasn't been altered by any third-party applications or by any users on the target side, right? So let's say some user going to your target HANA database, change something. You want to know that data, which data rows has been changed. So you can use this data assurance tool, going to the, let's say, HANA system. You can actually find out, detect what's the discrepancy between source and target, and then give you the report and also make the correction for you. So also some auditing department may come in and say, hey, can you show me that whether your replication system is very faithfully replicating from source to target. So this is another tool that can assure your IT auditing department saying that this is the way that I can assure you because the report is telling me that data between source and the target is consistent. Right? Peter, slide number 11, please. So slide number 11, just a little bit more detail in terms of one of the features I just mentioned. It's a heterogeneous direct load materialization. By the way, I do want to let you know that in the first release, right, SP100, we did that for all the ASE, Oracle, Microsoft DB2 into HANA, right? The source is all the third-party database, and the HANA is the target. So we did that in the SP100. In SP102, which will be released by the end of this month, and allow you to do ASE to ASE direct load materialization as well. So for the folks that, let's say, they are doing some cross page size migration, or let's say cross-platform migration, they can use this to do. They can use this technique, direct load materialization, to do a lot of migration, what we call zero downtime migration with that. So a couple of things I want to mention here is it is purely based on your subscription, right? So in the subscription, you can specify direct load clause, and also by default, it is configured as 5 threads, and it depends on your machine size, your CPU power, your memory. You can actually configure as many threads as you want, and based on the machine size you have. And so it is massively parallelized between source and target. You can also define how many tables in concurrent that you want to actually replicate, right? And then combine that with multi-path replication we introduced in 15.7.1. So the parallelization is tremendous in this direct load materialization. Slide number 12, please. Slide number 12 is, I mentioned earlier, it is a data assurance. 2 ways that you can use this. You either use the SAP Control Center, right? It's a graphical GUI, allow you to basically configure data assurance, specify source and target, and does the comparison. Or if you like the, let's say, script, the command line tool, you can also log into this data assurance to do the command line as well. So very flexible way of doing the database comparison, right? More importantly, it provides a report if there's any discrepancy. If there's no discrepancy, it will tell you that the data is consistent between source and target, and also generating the SQL statement if there's any discrepancy, so you can make the correction for that. So this is a very flexible tool, and the deployment topology is also very flexible. You can actually deploy what we call agent. So see the check mark on the source database and target database. This is called a DA agent. Data assurance agent can be deployed on the local machine, on the remote machine. Of course, for performance reason, you want to deploy the DA agent on the target database, on the source and the target machine. What it does is actually it captures the digital signature of each row set and compare the digital signature of each row set, right? So rather than compare characters by characters, it compares the digital signature using MD5 as a way to do that. So it's very fast in terms of performance. Slide number 13, please. Slide number 13 basically give you kind of what are the key benefits. Pretty much mentioned earlier. It is log-based, real-time replication, give you the transactional integrity between source and target, a flexible way of deploy your replication topology. Your source database could be in New York, and my HANA database could be running in Tampa, Florida. No problem. Rep server will do that for you because we do able to deploy that over the WAN. And also building data assurance is a very unique capability compared to other toolings in the market. So the next thing that I want to tell you is, Peter, if you go to slide number 15, please. Slide number 15 is the what we call real-time change data capture for SAP Data Services. As I mentioned earlier, SAP Data Services is a fantastic tool. It does very complex transformation. It provides top of line in terms of data quality, right? So this another services to really build into the data services layer, but by definition, it is ETL. You have to schedule how often you want to run that ETL scripts, right? So every 5 minutes, every half hour. So it is not real time. If it is feeding a data warehouse, so there's always a delay or latency between source and target database. And if you want to use IQ as your data warehouse, if you want HANA as your data warehouse, so there's always latency between source and target. So how do you actually reduce that latency and feeding the real-time information into your data warehouse through this data services layer is through replication server. So we actually team up with a data services team, provide a single solution, allow you to have a real-time CDC, complex data transformation, and the data quality in one solution. So what it does is actually turning very complex operational data into business user consumable information real time, right? Achieve the notion of real-time transformation and give you a real-time decision-making data. So it's a very innovative way of feeding data warehouse with the real-time data. Peter, number 16, please. So the next slide, number 16, is basically it is giving you a very high-level architectural view. So what is in this solution, as I mentioned, it is leveraging the Sybase Replication Server, provides a log-based replication. We do replicate the transactional data into this the yellow runtime DB. So what is in that runtime DB? First, the runtime DB has identical schema as your source database plus 2 extra columns. So 2 extra columns. The first column that we're putting in is basically type of operations that just being executed. What is the insert, update, delete, right? So that's the first column. Second column is actually the timestamp when you actually executed insert, update, delete. So that once you have identical schema as a source database and plus that 2 column as just mentioned, so give a true change data capture database. And then on the data services side, the data services 4.2 also introduced a new concept. It's called a continuous workflow, and then the continuously pulling the data from real-time from a runtime DB, so that if there's any downstream let's say, transformation needed or data quality is needed, data services can apply all those services in real time and then sending that to the downstream databases, right? So PowerDesigner in this case is actually automating all those scripts generation. So think about, you have to specify the source database, source tables that you want to replicate from. So PowerDesigner does the reverse engineering and pick the tables that you want to replicate from, and it generates, first of all, it generates the target schema in the runtime DB. Second, it also generates the replication scripts. All those publications, subscriptions can be generated automatically through PowerDesigner and deploy that into Replication Server. So this is the reason that we actually bring in and introduce the PowerDesigner to simplify the whole setup and allow you to do that with very less manual steps that you have to do. Slide number 17, please. So it's a simple kind of process flow, right? So it is also an example. So let's say you have a My Customer. You're running your CRM applications on the Oracle database. So in the CRM application, you have My Customer information. If you want to adding a new customer, or if you want to, let's say, a delete or updating, modifying your existing. So what is the corresponding database operations is the insert statement, update statement. So Replication Server, in that case, will capture, insert, or update, right, all those informations in real time and then sending that to data services. So in this case, is of course going to the runtime database first, and the data services continuous workflow will capture those, will basically streaming that data into data services, and it does the let's say the transformation needed or the data quality is needed. And of course, PowerDesigner in this case, as I mentioned earlier, it generates a runtime module as needed for replication as well as the runtime DB. Slide number 18, please. Now, with slide number 18 is basically it is a screenshot for PowerDesigner. As I mentioned, PowerDesigner can generate the publications and the subscriptions automatically based on the tables that you have defined, based on the replication model that you have defined. So it does that automatically. So it's just a screenshot and to show that how you can do it. And can you go to slide number 19? On slide number 19, right? So remember, we are combining both Rep Server and the data services in one solution. So on the previous slides, that basically telling you that how you can configure on the replication server side, and this steps that actually you have to do on the data services side. The first thing first is really configuration. So basically, the data services setup, you need to letting the data services know that where to getting the data in this time. In this case, is the runtime DB that I mentioned earlier. Second thing that you need to do is actually to pick the what they call CDC data flow design, and within you have a continuous workflow. Unlike the previous one that you define the frequency of the workflow you want to run, and this one is basically running the workflow continuously. Therefore, it continuously pulling the data right off the CDC database I mentioned, the runtime DB. And once you pull the data out of the runtime DB, and then does this process onto the target database, and the CDC also can specify how often you want to purge the data. So if you want to just say, let's say the CDC data stay there for 30 days, after 30 days, the data services will actually go into that CDC database, does the purging automatically. So this is all you need to do on the data services side in order to work with this real-time change data capture for data services. Right? Peter, go to slide number 20. Now, slide number 20 is what it does is actually what are the key benefits, right? So not only the replication server provides what we call real-time change data capture for data services customer, but also if I'm existing replication server customer, guess what? I can leverage the complex transformation capability or data services capability, which is not available in replication server. So this is really combining the best of both worlds between replication server and data services. So the next one is what we call DR, the disaster recovery for Business Suite on top of ASE. So Peter, can you go to slide number 22? So what's on slide number 22 is want to say is really with Business Suite because I think Business Suite has been in the market for more than 40 years, and it is the market-leading ERP system. And folks are using ASE for a long time, Replication Server for a long time. Now we're putting the whole stack together, right? You have the Business Suite as an application running on top of the ASE, and the Replication Server is providing the HADR capability for the underlying ASE database. So you are really, we're really giving you a best of both worlds, give you a market-leading ASE. By the way, if you go to SAP.com SD benchmark, though very recently we just published some best benchmark, what they call SD, sales and the distribution benchmark for running the Business Suite for 2 sockets, 4 sockets on the Fujitsu system, on the HP system. So to really give you the best benchmark results. And the Replication Server is providing the underlying DR capability. And the one thing I want to highlight here is adoption. Since the 2012 introduction of the Business Suite ASE support, the adoption is tremendous. Right? So more than thousands of installations already deployed on top of the ASE. So it's very, very impressive. So slide number 23, please. Slide number 23 is basically folks that are using Rep Server ASE for a long time possibly can ask me, so Bill, what you guys did, Rep Server already does the DR support for ASE database. So what's new? What's new is actually in this release, we develop what we call a DR agent, right? So if you were using, let's say, a Replication Server for ASE DR, you know that how many steps that you need to do to configure a DR. So it's pretty tedious. And with this DR agent capability, well, what we're doing is actually does 3 major things. First, it simplifies the setup of the Business Suite DR environment. It configures the ASE, it configures the Rep Server. If you, by default, you can actually either configure ASE and the Rep Server in a separate environment or the same host, right? And it's basically setting up the primary side as well as the secondary side for you automatically through the DR agent capability. And also, it integrates what we call SAP installer, the DBA cockpit. And so what is DBA cockpit? DBA cockpit is the SAP monitoring facility for all of the Business Suite installations, and the database control is the third one that we actually. So DR agent is able to integrate with installer, DBA cockpit, as well as DB control. So this is for first thing. So it does the installation configuration. Second, it provides the automatic failover process, right? So let's say typically in a DR environment, right? So you have a planned downtime as well as unplanned downtime. Actually, planned downtime happens way more often than unplanned downtime. Some people tell me that 95% of the time is actually planned downtime. So in that case, you want to actually use DR agent to do the failover. And once you, let's say you finish, let's say the upgrades and all that, you can fail back as well. So this is providing the failback capability as well. So, but with Replication Server DR agent, it automates the failover process. The third one, it collects a lot of information from a monitoring perspective. So it provides you the availability of the server, connection, routes. It even show you the replication latency, the resource utilization. So this is what DR agent provides. So as you can see, we simplified a lot of configuration installation, and then able to give you one command, do the failover, and also provide a lot of monitoring capability. And then slide number 24, please. The slide number 24 for the folks that actually use the Business Suite before, and whether it's used on top of ASE or Oracle, that's the screen, right? That's the screen for SAP NetWeaver. And it actually does the setup. So the DR agent I introduced earlier, actually is integrated into this SAP installer. So this is all you need to do, just pick, I want to set up a replication environment. Boom, it does the automatic setup for you. So this is basically, in this screenshot, tell you that, hey, you do this primary replication environment setup, right? Because in the typical DR environment, you want to set up a 2 rep server. 1 rep server is in the primary site, 2nd rep server, and the ASE is on the secondary side. So Peter, go to next slide, please. On slide number 25, actually, it is a way that you can add a standby environment, and then once you add a standby environment, it does the configuration automatically. So it's very easy. It doesn't have to do a lot of manual stuff. All you need to do is just pick that screen and then fill in the information that is asking for. It does the configuration installation for you automatically. Slide number 26 is once you've done the primary setup, the secondary setup, the next thing is really what we call materialization, right? So because you need to, let's say, all those database, all those data in the primary database, you need to basically have the same set of data on the secondary database before you can do the real-time continuous replication. So this third step does the materialization for you automatically as well. So once you've done this materialization, on slide number 27, Peter, go to next slide, please, to slide number 27. It is the DR environment done. So it's very simple. Boom, 1, 2, 3, right? Primary setup, secondary setup, it does the materialization. Once that's done, the fourth thing is you already see a DR environment. So very simple. And so today, this DR agent, of course, what we first did is actually introduced in the business suite environment. And later on, we do want to introduce that to the generic old ASE customer as well. So you'll be benefiting this in 2014. So this is on slide number 27, as I mentioned, this is a kind of environment that you can, as you can see, the setup is symmetrical on both sides, and it is set up as 2 replication. The reason you want to do that is draining the log as quickly as possible. And in active routes, replication is replicating from primary to secondary. And the red arrow actually, it is when you do fail back, when you do fail over, then the secondary site will replicating into the primary site. And all those, what we call, if you see small icons with 3 hats in there, this is actually the DR agent. DR agent collects the monitoring information from ASE database, from REST server itself, and feeding that information in real time to DB cockpit, and to give you the monitoring capability as well. So DR agent does that automatically for you. So this is something that will be introduced to all ASE customers in 2014. So so this is the third major feature that we have introduced in this release. So Peter, go to slide number 29. So slide number 29, as I promised earlier, want to give you a very brief, high-level overview in terms of product roadmap, right? So today, on the leftmost column, it is what we have introduced. We'll call 15.1 SP100. Give you 3 major things: business suite DR support, HANA replication, and also the data services integration. Now, for the folks that are running business suite on top of Oracle, let's say, that they may ask, hey, when can I replicate the business suite to HANA? In next release, very likely it will be Q1 next year. You are able to use the replication server to replicate the business suite into HANA. And also, this is one major thing. The second thing is we're going to introduce what we call synchronous replication to support the notion of 0 data loss, right? I think early on, Peter was asking me, hey, you guys used to have a mirror activator, and the mirror activator is also supporting the notion of 0 data loss. Now, mirror activator was relying on some hardware storage replication, so you do have to have EMC, SRDF, and then all that to make that happen. But with this ZDL, 0 data loss through synchronous replication, it's pure software, piggyback on top of your TCP/IP network. So this is really supporting the notion of, let's say, zero data loss, and if you want to use a replication server for high availability, right? And this is a feature that we're going to introduce in the Q1 next year, basically providing the ZDL for the ASE database. And the third major area, of course, what we're going to do is also providing the much tighter integration with data services. So basically getting rid of the what we call staging database or runtime database, feeding the replication server transaction directly into data services in its native format, and also unifying the GUI front end for both administration as well as the performance monitoring. So this is the third area we're going to do in next major release, and then it is currently scheduled for Q1 next year. And in the second, very likely in the second half of 2014, and we, as I mentioned earlier, we are going to extend HADR for and also the synchronous replication to all ASE customers. So in 2014, you will have the DR agent I mentioned, and also the synchronous replication to support the notion of zero downtime, those features in 2014. And also we're going to introduce HANA outbound replication capability, and also providing some of the data replication for cloud. Cloud computing is getting a lot more pervasive, and so basically we want to support the notion of for private cloud as well as public cloud, and also the data integration in between private and the public cloud as well. So this is what we're going to do, some of the future directions in 2014. So if you go to slide number 31, slide number 31 is some of the key information sources. Right? So we created what we call SCN, right, the community network, and if you want some roadmap, we also published on the SAP Service Marketplace. And so I highly encourage that you join the SCN. You can basically post your questions there. And we have a lot of, let's say, white papers, blogs in that website. And down below is some of the key documentation link. And then if you're interested, let's say you want to replicate from, let's say, Oracle database to HANA, just follow that quick start guide for SAP HANA database. And then you can basically give you a cookbook in terms of how you can do that. So let me conclude my presentation and I'll turn the floor back to Peter.
Thank you, Bill. That was really a great presentation. And what I like to do is I like to open up for question and answers. And the way you're going to do this is there is a questions slide in your control panel where you can type in the question you like to ask Bill, and I will kind of relay this directly to Bill, and he can answer you. If you don't have a question right now and you have some questions later, you can write down the phone number or my email address, and I'm more than happy to get back to you on any questions. And I just see the hand raised, but I don't have a question to it. I do have a question, Bill, that I'd like to ask you, and then you may have answered it already, but is there any plans on the web server to replicate out of IQ to downstream systems?
IQ it is a system that today actually don't have a transaction log per se. Mm-hmm. So currently the plan is replicating out of HANA rather than IQ. And okay. So for the folks that want to get data out of IQ, possibly you can do that through the application layer rather than from the database layer. But today, we do have replicating data into IQ, which is really for using IQ for data warehouse, right? Those type of real-time loading capability.
Yes. And I do get a question in. Okay, I'll try to read it directly. Web Server today works with Oracle and ASE as a source. And in a slide there was mention of a zero downtime, zero data loss, and data services. And there was only mention of ASE. And I remember you kind of were mentioning future release, but can you talk a little bit about this zero downtime, zero data loss in combination with Oracle and ASE and Web Server?
Yeah, sure. So today, what we're doing is providing the zero downtime for the business suite, right? So for the business suite running on top of ASE. So the zero downtime using Replication Server is the services that we're providing for ASE. But in the business suite context, the Oracle database, they have their own, let's say, data guard already built into the Oracle database, that which also distributed as part of the business suite. So that so this is something that already in those databases. But what we're doing is, of course, doing that for ASE database, and then also for the zero data loss, we're also doing that for ASE database as well.
Okay, thank you. Another question coming in is Web Server HANA. Is this a separate license?
Yeah, so Replication Server for HANA is a separate license. That is correct. So we pretty much bundled everything into a bundle called the HANA Web Server HANA Edition, just like the way that we were doing for RealTime Loading Edition for IQ. Has all the replication agents basically bundled that into one bundle that allow you to replicate from all the third-party databases I just mentioned into HANA. So this is what we call Web Server HANA Edition. Okay,
thank you. Then another question is around the multi-threading rep agent. There's a question regarding the default value of 5 for the thread level, and I know this came in with the addition of the multi-threaded rep agent, but the question is more down the line: how is the transaction broken down through the threads?
So the default configuration for 5 is what we call direct load. And the direct load is different from the queue is actually different from the real-time continuous replication server queue, right? So this is different from the what we're doing in the direct load is actually does a select from your primary database, and that result sets coming from your source database into replication server, and the streaming that result sets in parallel into your targeted database. So this is where's the default thread 5 coming from. So the thing is, when I say you apply those result sets from a replication server into your target database, and you can define how the degree of the parallelism through that the thread configuration. Could be 5, could be 10. It depends how much memory that you have in your server, right? So this is one thing, but don't be confused with another parallelism that what we introduced is called a multi-path replication. So multi-path replication, it is getting rid of the bottleneck for only, let's say, I'm only have a one scanner and a one sender on the replication agent side. So with multi-path replication, I have a multiple scanner and a multiple sender for the transactional log, right? So in the let's say using Oracle redo log as example, I can have a multiple scanner to scan your Oracle redo log. I have a multiple sender to sending the log that I just scanned into different replication server paths. And then from replication server paths, I can also define multiple DSIs to apply those transactions in parallel to your target database. So as you can see, from end to end, I have a multiple replication agents I can define. I have a multiple servers can be connected to. I can have multiple DSIs that I can apply the transaction. So give you the parallelism end to end. So this is different from the direct load parallelization I was telling you.
Great, thank you, Bill. At this point, I don't have any more questions coming through the panel, and I would say, I think we're concluding. We're already over 50 minutes into presentation, and I know people have to, and we started late, so I want to kind of observe everybody's time, and we're finishing at 4. Bill, thank you so much for being with us today. This was great information on Replication Server. And I just one more question popped in, and maybe we can answer it in two minutes with the HANA question. With the HANA Rep Server Edition, do we need to have a HA physical machine for disaster recovery when you do the Rep Server?
So this is another thing that we talked about. Actually, I did not talk about is Replication Server. Also in this release, we also introduced the notion of OS clustering HA capability. So if you have, let's say, HP Service Card, right, once you set up, let's say, 2 nodes in your primary database, you can use the HP Service Card to do the Rep Server HA capability as well. So this is also, and we're also working with other third-party clustering vendor, and soon to be announced as well.
Okay, great. So yeah, let's get to an end here. We're approaching 4 p.m. Here at the East Coast, and this entire presentation has been recorded. And as soon as we are done with the editing and the making sure that you can actually view it online, I will post it on the website, and you will be able to replay the entire session at your leisure. And with this, I will conclude the presentation. Bill, again, thank you very much, and everybody who joined today, thank you very much, and see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Sure. Bye-bye.